StadiumDB.com presents UEFA Euro 2020 Stadiums. The 2020 European Championship is only the second edition to include 24 teams instead of just 16. It also comes on the 60th anniversary of the first continental tournament. To mark the occasion, UEFA decided to host the first ever Euros in multiple countries across Europe. Initially, the list included 13 cities in 13 countries, but already in 2017, Brussels was eliminated due to lack of progress on the promised new national stadium. Then, in 2021, after the tournament was postponed by a year for public health reasons, Dublin was also dropped from the list. In Spain, Bilbao got replaced by Seville in order to safely welcome fans. You'll find detailed presentations of all hosts on StadiumDB.com. Now let's go through the list for a quick overview. Let us know in the comment section which of them is your favorite. Amsterdam, Johan Cruyff Arena. Amsterdam boasts some of the best travel connections across Europe, and with 2.5 million inhabitants of the metro area, it was always among the strongest candidates to host Euro 2020. Famous for its vivid nightlife, Amsterdam also offers a football landmark, the Arena. For 2 decades known as Amsterdam Arena, it now bears the name of Johan Cruyff. Initially, the arena was famous for its pioneering retractable roof. Nowadays, the venue is a great example of sustainability. Its dome is covered with photovoltaic panels, the stadium stores energy, while its recent seat replacement saw some of the old seats being used for 3D printing. Not only introducing innovations, the arena has also grown in recent years, receiving expanded East Sides facilities and becoming the largest in the Netherlands. Corner sections were filled with additional seating, reaching nearly 55,000 seats. During Euro 2020, the size will be limited to 12,000. Baku, Olympic Stadium Baku. With nearly 1 in 5 Azerbaijanis living in Baku, the metropolis offers activities for everyone, whether you're a fan of historical architecture or futuristic landmarks. The Olympic Stadium is certainly one of them. Built on an industrial site reclaimed from nearby Lake Buyukshor, the stadium has a perfectly circular shape, which caused controversy upon its selection. The stands are far away even for athletics, which makes watching football far from optimal. With 50% of the auditorium open for Euro 2020, the Giant will offer 31,000 seats. It was built as Azerbaijan's national stadium and host venue for the first ever European Games in 2015. In 2019, it hosted its first Europa League final, and during Euro 2020, it's by far the easternmost stadium, over 2,000 kilometers away from the nearest co-host, Bucharest. Bucharest National Arena. After joining the European Union, Romania's capital became an up-and-coming destination for business and tourism. Still largely undiscovered by Western Europeans, Bucharest is gaining significant exposure thanks to its new national stadium. The National Arena opened in 2012 and soon afterwards hosted the country's first Europa League final. The 55,000-seat stadium with a retractable roof made Bucharest the strongest candidate for Euro 2020 across the Balkan region. Architecturally minimalist, the building was built exactly where the old national stadium used to stand, even using some of the same landfill. Aside from the national team, it's also home to FCSB, one of Romania's most popular football clubs. Budapest, Puskás Arena. Budapest is home to almost a third of all Hungarians, well established as one of Central Europe's most picturesque capitals. Most famous for the Parliament building and bridges on the Danube, since 2019, the metropolis has one more landmark, Puskás Arena. Football has long been the prime sport of Hungary, and the old Puskás Stadium was considered part of national heritage. That's why its successor's architecture originates from the historical design. Even more, old concrete rubble was crushed and reused in the new stadium, which symbolically mixes past and present. Puskás Arena is the largest football stadium across Central Europe with nominal capacity of over 67,000 people, as many can be admitted during Euro 2020 after Hungary loosened its restrictions. Copenhagen, Parken Stadium. Located on the island of Zealand, Copenhagen attracts over 10 million overnight visitors each year. Accessible from all parts of Europe, it was a very strong candidate during bidding for Euro 2020, especially with a modern stadium offering a retractable roof. Parken may have been opened in 1992, but numerous upgrades over the years allowed it to maintain the highest standard. As recently as 2009, the stadium had most of its office and hospitality spaces rebuilt. Meanwhile, naming rights contracts signed with the telecom company resulted in a technological boost. Equipped with 38,000 seats, the stadium can welcome up to 55,000 people for concerts. However, during Euro 2020, its size was reduced to under 12,000. Glasgow, Hampden Park. While Wales didn't get a spot in the tournament, Scotland is the second UK member to host Euro 2020 at the famous National Stadium. Once seen as a deteriorated industrial city, Glasgow became a popular tourist destination in recent years, combining history with modern culture and architecture. So does its stadium, Hampden Park. Hampden is the oldest stadium in the tournament list, dating back to 1903. Most of the current building is much younger, of course, but the structure is entirely based on the same landfill from early 20th century. That's why Hampden remains an oval instead of becoming rectangular, as did other major stadiums in Glasgow. Hampden was last upgraded in 2014 when the North Stand's facilities were expanded. Perhaps the most interesting changes will come after Euro 2020 when the Scottish FA will take over as new owner. Major reconstruction is being considered in order to extend the stadium's lifespan. London, Wembley Stadium. Being Europe's largest entertainment market and almost literally the home of football, London was always bound to receive some of Euro 2020's most important matches. Having Wembley as the home stadium makes the selection of London even more obvious. The 90,000 capacity stadium is famous for its 134-meter arch, which dominates the skyline of West London. Less known, but also worth mentioning, is the partly retractable roof on both ends, which aids sunlight access and natural ventilation. Since its opening in 2007, the stadium already saw a number of changes, primarily in terms of technology. Changes are also happening around the stadium, with a new mixed-use complex rising around the stadium. England's National Stadium is the heart of Euro 2020, hosting group games, round of 16 games, both semi-finals and the final. Once Dublin got eliminated from the tournament, Wembley was one of the stadiums to take over Ireland's games. Munich, Football Arena Munich. As one of the largest, richest, and most famous German cities, Munich is the perfect host city for any major event, especially with Bayern's arena representing the best in stadium design. Built beside the Northern Ring Road, the stadium set an aesthetic trend for numerous other projects. Its 2,706 inflated ETFE panels come to life at night, able to display millions of colors and thousands of patterns. It opened in 2005 as the neutral home for Bayern and TSV, able to hold 66,000 people. This changed over the years. TSV left the stadium, Bayern bought it entirely and began upgrading its infrastructure. At the same time, a number of small expansions saw capacity reach over 75,000. Rome, Olimpico in Rome. The Eternal City is a global tourist magnet, so inclusion on the list of Euro 2020 hosts seems only natural. Another thing that seems eternal, and not necessarily in a good way, is Stadio Olimpico. Partly opened in 1932, it wasn't completed until 1953. Olimpico's current form is owed to the 1990 reconstruction. It saw the auditorium completely reconfigured and covered. Since then, only partial renovations were taking place, which is why the stadium is falling behind in terms of standard. But efforts by Lazio and AS Roma to build new stadiums remain eternally futile. In its history, the Olimpico hosted the 1960 Olympics, the 1990 World Cup, and 4 Champions League finals. The Continental Tournament expands the portfolio even further. St. Petersburg Stadium. After the fall of the USSR, Russia's profile in terms of tourism and football was rather low for many years, but huge investments and efforts on all levels brought it to the spotlight in the biggest possible way, resulting in the World Cup being held here in 2018. The stadium in St. Petersburg wasn't intended as a World Cup venue from the start. After all, its construction began back in 2007, but such a massive project was surely a major advantage for the Russian bid. Intended for over 60,000 people, the stadium boasts a retractable roof and field sliding outside the building. Although the build was marred with controversies, after opening, the stadium became a worthy home to Russia's largest team outside Moscow, Zenit. Exposed as one of many St. Petersburg's islands, the stadium became an instant landmark with its spaceship-like shape. It's within reach of 2 subway lines, so the remote location isn't a major issue. Seville, La Cartuja. Unseen in the history of UEFA's major tournaments, Seville appeared on the list of hosts at the very last minute, following the exclusion of Bilbao. It's the westernmost city of the continental tournament. Although Seville has two major clubs with impressive stadiums, neither of them will play host to the tournament. That role is given to the Olympic Stadium, commonly known as La Cartuja. Built as part of Seville's plan to host the Olympics, it never really staged such games. Just over 20 years old, the stadium underwent minor renovations and still meets international criteria. In its history, La Cartuja hosted notable domestic and international matches, as well as athletics events. Euro 2020 will be the biggest tournament to take place at this stadium. Thank you for touring the 11 stadia of Euro 2020 with us. You'll find detailed presentations for each of them on stadiumdb.com. Links are available in the description below. Write a comment to let us know which of them you'd like to visit most. Make sure you visit stadiumdb.com for the latest stadium news. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to make sure you don't miss any future video. You'll also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where we cover all major stadium developments.